Okay, can I have a motion to come out of executive
I'll
session?
make a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll second.
Okay, second, all in favor? Thank you.
I, Nancy Fraser, motion to rescind the September 13th, 2018 notice forbidding any prohibiting entry to the Catherine Courting city property.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, second, all in favor? Okay, all opposed?
I abstain.
You abstain, okay?
Let's move on.
You
Okay.
can adjourn the special call meeting and go into the session.
Okay, we need a motion to go out of executive session.
Adjourn.
Adjourn. Okay, motion adjourned.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, second, all in favor? Okay. Okay, now, we move on. Okay, work session. December the 13th, 2018.
First item we have on the agenda is the second read on the rezone map parcel ST02-07 from R4 to R1. And Mr. Billy Jones, he would like to rezone it just to help lower his taxes.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Yeah, this is just a
No.
work session. The vote on it.
All right, call for a vote.
No.
No vote.
Okay, the second item is Michelle's no longer with us, so we need to remove her from all the city's bank accounts.
Agreed.
I make a motion that we move.
No, no.
Sorry.
Discussion on it.
Christmas.
Okay, so,
Well,
Okay, the next item is, we don't need to add anybody at this time. I mean, we have all the signers that we need right now. Third item is, the employees' Christmas gift cards. In the past years, the employees' gift card has been $35. So, we would like to have the same amount. Oh, raise? I'm all for it.
I'm good with that.
Okay, next, going down the list, we have NX rezone map parcel XX 117-017 and XX 115-060 from AG to a CSO to R1. And we have our representative here about it. If you stand up there by the podium, and ready to have it.
Can I put this up here?
And you all got a map.
Right.
First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Doug Patton. I'm the owner of Center Line Survey and Land Planning, located in Kennesaw, Georgia. This property is in your backyard, and it's adjacent to city property across from Wall Road. And I've never met, it's owned by Mr. James Reese, and I've never met Mr. Reese, but one of the most...
He's deceased, but his family's selling.
Okay. One of the most important things that's good to know. One of the most important things you need to know is what my role is and why I'm here in front of you now. My role is that whenever there's a development of this size that a client brings to me, they come to me and come to my office. I have over 30 years experience and over 800 subdivisions on the ground. And the reason why they come to my company is because my company specializes in environmental friendly development. I am a CPES by trade, which you may or may not know what that is. That's certified professional in set of road control. I'm also an engineer. My staff consists of engineers, landscape architects, land planners, land surveyors, and like I said, we've got over 800 subdivisions in the ground, ranging all the way down from Bainbridge, Georgia, to Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. Once again, the reason why they bring us in on these type of projects is because we are environmental friendly. We go in and we protect, identify and protect the wetlands. We go in and protect and identify the state buffers. Any state buffer on a creek that is damaged or in jeopardy of any kind, we do what we can to protect that, and I'm a consultant with EPD, which allows me to do stream bank restorations that are acknowledged by the state of Georgia to be top-notch, top quality, to bring them back to what they should be, if they can be. In this particular development, in this particular design, I know the map you're looking at is very, very small, and I brought a blow up here to show you. We are trying to preserve the original farm pond on the property by making it a passive amenity, which would include the ability to walk around the pond, and it'll be renovated to the point where it's has no danger of dam failure or anything like this that would cause future damage to the creek below. The creek below it is probably just a release to the pond that was built by the I guess Mr. Reese for farm use. So its delineation of whether it is or is not a state mandated buffer has yet to be determined. But in my design, we went ahead and assumed that it would be. And so we protected the buffer with 25-foot state buffer, 25 additional local buffer, and then a 25-foot impervious setback, which is fairly standard in the state. The area that we're going to protect there, whether it's a stream buffer or not, will become green space for the community. So we're going to keep everybody out of there anyway. We don't care what the delineation is in the future. It will be protected areas. It will be part of green space. In the wetlands inventory, National Wetlands Inventory map, there is some wetlands that cover the bottom of this property where there is another creek that is delineated, and that is completely protected by the development. We're not developing anywhere near that. Across the creek, at the intersection of two roads, the Wall Road, is a portion of the property that we will not be developing at all. It will be simply used as a passive recreation area. So that means there'll be walking trails and what we call innocent development. So you're talking about mulch paths and these type of things, and not anything structural or impervious. The impervious amenity that we planned is further up in the development, up on the, I guess you could say that's the southeastern part of the property, and that consists of pool, tennis court, and parking associated with that. If you look at the back of the property, one of the things that we try to do when we put these developments together, because they are what I want to describe, I am of old school. I was born in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and I was raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So what they call them these days, because I've done several of these developments, they call these shiny and tiny. They're smaller homes, they're narrow homes, they're longer homes, but they have all the newest technology, the newest equipment, all this new stuff that people want in their homes today when they want to build a brand new home. We call them shiny and tiny. Years ago, when I was brought up, they were in town developments, and they called them shotgun homes, where they were narrower homes, they were closer together, and there was not a lot of property to take care of. In these type developments, that's exactly what they're planning to do, is the fact that the proposed owner of these lots are coming to these type developments because they don't want to spend their time in their yard. I know that a lot of us do, a lot of us have larger homes and we live outside, and that's one of the things we love. But there are people that can't take care of their homes anymore. They don't have the ability to take care of acres or half-acre tracts. They want a smaller tract to take care of, but they also want a nicer home. These homes are going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of the low 200s. Then they have the amenity and the ability to have a community, even though there's homes that are adjacent to each other because they're fairly narrow lots. We've also put green space areas in between these lots. If you notice on the back section of lots, there's a strip all the way through all these lots that is a walking park. It's a trail. It gives them breathing space and breathing room for people who want to walk their dog or whatever they may want to get out and do. So the entire neighborhood is connected with open space style access. Larger areas, this building here is 24 foot wide, so the homes that are planning to be here are not going to be as big as some of the more estate homes, but it's this room plus another half. So they're 30, 35, 36 foot wide, which seems narrow to some people when you think of your house sitting on an acre lot and out in the country. But when it comes down to taking care of it, and you're my age, I don't go out and take care of my yard anymore. I'm 62. I don't do that. I like to spend my time with grandkids, going places, doing things. So I'm downgrading from my acre lot, my 5,000 square foot lot, to something more like this, but I don't want to give up the amenities that I want. That's the style development. That's the way this is. But I wanted to make sure you understood exactly who we were. We are this group that comes in explicitly for this type of development. It's in the country, but it's city style development. We're not asking for you to look at this and say, my gosh, there's 350 homes on 95 acres. That's a lot of property. Well, when you look at the zoning classification, we're still underneath the maximum allowed density. We're also giving up these amount of green space that is requested for this zoning classification. And also, we're telling you that we want to annex into the city and bring you 350 taxpayers. Not necessarily bring in a burden to the city of Statham. This is the type of development that will pay its own way. I talked to the mayor a little while ago, and he asked me about the sewer, because the sewer is way down the road. And I did call and find out from my group, because I am I guess you could say I'm the mouthpiece of the company. But I do have people behind me that are the technical people. And they did advise me that the plan has been talked about with the water and sewer department, and they're going to put in a sanitary sewer lift station on this piece of property and take a force main to the sewer that's down the road. Running a force main.
Who's going to do that?
We are. This developer is going to pay for the lift station, and this developer is going to run the force main to the sewer. So what they're saying is they're going to bring these homes and pay their own way. They're not going to come in and try to be a burden on the city. They just want to bring the taxpayers, and they want to put in the roads, they want to pave them, they want to bring them to the county standards when they install them. Any improvements needed on the entrances, we'll be glad to do. The roads that are in the coming into the neighborhood, and We meet all the specifications of the city zone that we're requesting. So we're not asking for anything special. We're just asking to be annexed, asking to be zoned, and let's pay our own way to bring these taxpayers to the city. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, and that's one of the things, no offense to Mr. Mitchell, is that I'm not an attorney. I can't speak as eloquently as he probably can, but I can tell you exactly what this developer can do and what he can't do. And sometimes the attorney will say, oh yeah, we can make him do that, when it's really not physically possible, because they're not the engineer that has to design it. So, if you have any questions, over here.
I got covered.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that our water treatment plant is just down below where you talking about?
The water treatment plant below this? I'm not aware of that.
Why didn't you take this to the county?
That was like I said, I only take the property that is brought to me by my client. The client that brought this to me was Smithton Homes, in conjunction with Commissioner Tony Hunter, who's with Gwinnett County, Gwinnett County Commissioners. He is also a developer. And they brought this piece of property to me and said they wanted to bring it into the city. It was not my choice of site, and I have no dog in this fight.
Does any part of this property, go up to,
It's across the street. City.
so we would have to annex it in, and
Yeah, that's what.
it would be a chunk of the city of Statham off across Wall Road. Is that how that would work?
It could be done.
Do what, it could be done?
It
So
could be done.
currently in the county.
Currently in the county, across the street from city property, by via the right of way.
Are you aware of our zoning, what we require for space?
Yes.
Okay. What is it?
Am I aware of it? Of the zoning you're asking for? As far as square footage of the house?
That the city has now, what they say, set up.
Within the CSO, uh, 1,600 square feet. Dwelling units, huge square feet, is 1,600 square feet, 1,800 square feet. 75% of them would be 1,800, and 25% of them would be 1,600.
Okay.
And that's on the plan.
Are these houses 2 stories or 1 floor?
2 stories.
2 stories. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you gotta visualize the length, size of the lot, so they have to be 2 stories.
Yeah,
That's, I mean, if everything goes up,
A quarter of an acre.
lot goes long enough. I mean,
Right, they're long enough. They have your garages, and then an offset entrance, and everything's behind it and up. A lot of them have courtyards. Some of the higher priced ones later on are possibly in the middle of the development.
Yeah.
The courtyards are accentuated with interior type indoor outdoor living, where your courtyard is accessible from the inside of the house, but visibly and through doorways that slide open.
What is the approximate footage between the house? 10, 12?
10
10.
foot is the minimum.
Right,
Is the minimum. It could be more.
Right,
But it is
but
the
right.
minimum. Yes, sir.
just enough to put
Is
the
that
air
what you-
conditioner on
is that
it.
what you got?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've, like I said, it's stated on the plan that we're submitting to you that the minimum separation is 10 foot. Now, the way it's specified in your zoning and the way we specified it on the plan is that it's a 0 setback, but it's 10 feet between structures. And the reason for that is that not every home is the exact same home. But what you gotta do is if you position that house right up near the property line, the other one has to make sure it's 10 foot off, regardless of what that is.
Yes.
So it's placed accordingly.
Yep.
Some houses may be, 3 or 4 foot wider than the other, and then that's gonna impact the neighbor.
So basically, we're looking at annexing this into the city of Statham, this chunk across Wall Road, and approving this particular development.
Yes, sir. That's what we're requesting.
I mean, I got several questions, we're gonna have, not really directed towards you, but that we're gonna have to discuss in our sewage system with what we already got coming.
We understand there was capacity for us
Okay.
at the time we requested it, and they would accept our legislation.
Jordan,
Right now, that's in the county's delivery area. We will not be able to supply them with water or sewer to that development.
It's not in the city service area, unfortunately.
right, that's another thing, which we've already discussed, that it's not ours to
Right.
make the decision.
Well, those conversations were made, were had with Commissioner Hunter. I believe, did you talk with Commissioner Hunter? Tommy?
Yes, I believe I've told him this before, that that was the county's area and we can't serve
Right.
it.
What did Tommy say?
I didn't think he was just gonna get some more information, but that's all we had talked about,
Yeah.
so.
It sounds to me like at this time, it's a county issue. I don't know. I mean, it
Well,
just-
I mean, if the county and the state can come together, but it's more than us approving the
Right.
annexation
Yeah.
in the next month.
Oh, we know there's a lot of things that need to
We
be
got
worked out.
we have
technically.
lots of issues to look at, before we could even make any kind of recommendation. We gotta work with the county to start.
Well, one of the first things I want to do, based on my conversation with the mayor, with the mayor a little while ago, is actually have a conversation with your water department myself. I found out that I was supposed to be in this meeting at about 3 o'clock today.
Oh.
I mean, Mr. Hunter come a couple of months ago.
And I got briefed on everything on the car ride over here from Kennesaw.
And he spoke to Jordan,
Right.
Jordan, at the time, Jordan gave him some information.
Well, right now I have probably 9 to 10 projects in this area. Barrow and Winder and Gwinnett and Morganville and Marshall and all sorts. So there's a lot of, we have to cross over this bridge in every scenario. It's just that right now, this one was dropped in my lap today.
Okay,
And I'll have to solve all these problems, and this is the start point.
As a council and city, we'll, look at it and analyze it, see where we go with it.
Right.
Uh,
Well, what I want to do is make sure that I take in what your suggestions are for the site. And if there are things that you want to make changes to it, say, the lot width is not acceptable to you, I want to do another layout with unacceptable lot width. I don't want to try to bring anything to you that you will not be able to vote on comfortably. And this is where we start, is if you want me to make some changes on it, I'll make the changes on it. But if it's not going to change some of the facts that cannot be crossed and this is not going to go through, then we need to find out the reasons why and try to solve those reasons, and that's the reason for
right.
the
We would
work
have
session.
to, like I said, before, I know it's already applied for annexation,
Right.
but, that would be the last thing we'd want to do till we got all our information,
Correct.
in a row.
Correct.
Because we're not gonna stretch out and say, yeah, we'll annex, and then,
When is the first reading with the, with you officially? I know this is work session, but when would it be voted on first?
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
Make a suggestion? Do you know if anybody from your team has talked to the county about the service delivery issues on this matter?
Firsthand, no.
Okay. My recommendation is not to take any action on the annexation until we've at least had a conversation with the county, or the owner has had a conversation with the county, because I don't think I need to remind you all, we're in SDS negotiations right now,
exactly.
and this hasn't even been on the radar. So, someone probably other than the city needs to broach that with the county.
Right.
But at the same time, we need the county to tell the city what they agree with.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be ongoing, several months ongoing, but just let you know up front that it's not gonna be a,
Well, that's what I said, I've been doing this for 30 years, and there's some that have gone for years. So
right.
this is a start point for my client, and I've got to figure out how to make it get to where he wants, or tell him to go to another piece. But this is a piece he started. I think the family does have the right to sell the property and get their most economic use out of it, and if this is it, then I'm going to do my best to represent it to you.
We understand that, clearly. But like I said, you know, right now we got
Right.
quite a few issues that we would even have to address before we could even.
Are there any other questions or technical things that I can answer for you or do while we're in that? Because I know the next step is to go sit down with the county and have some understanding of the utilities and the logistics of it. But if this development does come to the city, what else is there that we need to deal with? What else do we need to
I
work on?
personally have concerns about the density.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't have anything
A
like
quarter,
that here.
quarter acre lots, are, you know, that's pretty tight in there.
Mhm.
And and which brings in a lot of other, problems and concerns.
Right.
So, 330 units is an awful big fight. But it says,
I'm glad you said it, because I thought it was 350.
yeah,
I'll get my glasses.
well, if it's 350, it's worse.
I don't know. I had to get my special glasses, my wife did, because I couldn't, my written was on.
I have concerns about that density, and
If that density is a problem for the city, and I can understand that density is a problem for the city, even though it does meet the density of that particular zoning, what density would better please the city, and what home or what with lot would better please the city, so I can go and like I said, my job is not here to force feed you, my job is to communicate between the client of what you will and will not approve.
Well, I guess go back to your client and let him know that we want to work on that next.
Wants the density lower.
Right.
Okay.
What we have right now is about half of this many homes on a property of this size.
Right.
The current developments are a half to 3/4 of an acre, or somewhere in that neighborhood is the density. I've never seen a development like this, but
Mhm.
just looking at it from the top, it was.
Yeah, it does look, matter of fact, when I picked up this plan today and I was looking at it, is that even though I did lay it out, I laid this thing out 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I looked at it again when I look at it that size. Well, when I look at it this size, I'm like, whoa. It's a little bit different when you look at this different.
And I used to praise, and residential and commercial, and seemed like this is a large tract compared to what I used to walk into,
Right.
be 40 houses on a small acreage. And that's why, they said, okay, let's get as much out of it as we can. With Clark County was very much, I saw it quite a bit, at that time. And
Well, I was young, and I was 16 years old. I used to go in and ask my dad if I could have $50 for a date, and he would tell me I'm crazy. $50 for a date is ridiculous, and he'd say, here's 30. I only needed 25.
Right.
So the summary of what goes on here with these type of developments is that they are going to come in as tight as they can and ask you for more than they're probably willing to sell for. My job is to find that number. So if a density of 3.47 doesn't sit well with you, then, maybe we ought to go down to maybe 2.47 and see what happens there. Or maybe even lower. But drop down to a number that we can live with within the city, if the city is wanting this property or willing to work with the property after we work out the stuff with the county.
I'm thinking about $20.
We value growth,
Right.
but at the same time, we want to make sure that our city has growth that is healthy for the city, and being that we are, before we actually, deal with actually building houses, we have to annex, and we
Right.
decide whether or not we want to annex or not. If the company can make it more,
Cohesive. Yeah.
then.
Well, I can bring you another way out and try to get the client to see where his threshold is, because there's a threshold where the development would not make economic sense for him or
Absolutely.
or for this family that's selling the property, there's gotta be a number there.
Well, I know that that's your business,
Right.
but I think you should take it back to him, and we need to talk about county and city
That'd be first.
first,
Mhm.
and, see where he can get with that, and how we can resolve that part of it before we consider you had to spend another X amount of, your people doing X amount of work.
Right.
And, I mean, but I know that's what you
I
do for a living.
understand. Well, no, I appreciate that comment, and I appreciate you telling me that's, you know, that'd be the best thing to do, to find out if there's a dead end I'm driving into.
Right. I mean,
And
it could,
we will pursue
we
that.
can't come up with the county, we might, I mean, it's a deal breaker to begin with,
Okay.
automatic.
Well, we will cross that bridge first, and then,
Okay.
and then communicate with you,
Okay.
what those findings are. Ma'am, do y'all have any questions or input, or do you want to just go to your house and eat some biscuits and gravy? No? Okay. Well, I'll be glad to bring you what I can, as an alternative to this, if we have a communication with the county. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item on the list is, the home rule amendment provision to the city charter.
Okay, we have been discussing, making some changes to the city's charter, in the areas where the changes I'm thinking about were moving from a strong mayor format to a weak mayor format, but that is going to involve more changes and more legislation and more than we have, more changes than we have time for to get any changes that we need to get them into the legislation. The whole idea behind the city's charter was written, I don't know, what, 1930, 1920, it's very old, it's very antiquated, and the powers that were given to the mayor at that time were very appropriate, they were very needed, they were perfect for a small community. But as cities grow, and cities move forward and grow, and it's my opinion that we should move the city, start beginning moving the city to a situation that gives the council more power in areas where the mayor currently exercises ultimate authority, or plenary authority, which is what Thomas made. I think the idea behind all this is to better serve the citizens, better serve the community, and the hive mind is much better than one person having the ultimate authority. I believe also we give a voice to situations that it would give our city a little bit broader, a broader voice to be heard. The other thing that appeals to me is that we don't know, with the current political climate of our country, and things are getting kind of topsy-turvy, and we don't know who's going to be our next mayor. We don't know who's going to be our next, we just don't know. But I believe that if we start making the move to let the city council have an equal amount of power with the mayor, it's no doubt it's unquestionable that 6 minds are better than one. And I would like to hear, some more discussion on this. And Thomas, I don't know if you were able to get anything ready for us, or are you gonna wait till Tuesday?
Well, I need to get right out. As you all know, I made some suggestions as to possibilities of what could be done, in the current charter. And so, I think that I talked to most of you and I left you a message in this conversation. The one way to go about it is home rule amendments, because there's a provision in the current charter that needs to be removed by the legislature, that the city cannot remove by home rule. So if that's the direction, I can have, the necessary ordinance ready for you all to approve on Tuesday night to begin that process. That's probably from the time that it's still, even though it's late, if we're gonna do something simple like that, it's certainly plenty of time to get it to the legislature and get something through the legislature and on the governor's desk, this session. You all could, late spring or the summer, have some flexibility to do something.
So option 4 would basically be removing 301C. And then I would like to actually use the time that we have, that would give us to make the final changes to the city's charter and bring the whole charter into the 21st, well into the 21st century. That would support the anticipated growth, or that would support, our future population, or however we're.
But you're talking about doing that over the next year, and
Yes.
taking that to the
Yes.
session in 2020.
Yeah, I would not be ready for, I would not be ready for a vote on Tuesday night myself.
You got a lot of work to do for a new charter. To just
Oh,
remove
no.
it, to just live that provision.
All I'm
that's
saying is
fairly
just take this
simple.
one provision for now, and that'll give us some time for these elections and.
I think the last charter was done in the sixties.
Okay.
And if you want to do one now, I think it's time to start on it. So, I don't have any objection to it. I think it's what it ought to be done.
Is there a general consensus for me to draw up something to?
You can pull us up some examples.
But at the same time, I think that we need to just do that item for the 301C, removing that from our existing charter, and so we can do home rule. And then we can go through the process, because, we cannot rush through a change of charter. It's gonna take a lot of thinking, it's gonna take a lot of meetings, and then it's got to be, once we get what we want, then it's gonna have to go in front of the state, and it's gonna take a fair amount of time to get that done, am I right?
Well, it will take the two cities that I've seen go through this process, it took them almost a year. They had a charter similar to yours, that was done in the 60s or 70s. They started with the GMA model that's on their website that they put together, but there were substantial modifications that they made based on some various things. And so, I think they had a number of public meetings and town halls. And frankly, the first couple were well attended, and then by the time they got to the fifth one, there was hardly anybody there, and the sixth one, no one showed up. And so, but part of that was because of the process at the beginning, and the citizenry was pretty well satisfied where everything was.
Right.
But for a full charter to get that, we would probably need to have whatever you all are comfortable with ready by this time next year, to get the Office of Legislative Counsel, because for something that massive, you want to do it earlier in session rather than later in session when things are kind of hot.
Right.
But the thing you have to think about is do we really want to go through that process? Do we, in other words, is our charter that bad if we drop the 301C clause?
I think that one of the things that I'll make sure is in your box before Tuesday is, you all have a copy of your current charter, but I'll make sure there's a copy of the GMA model, and you can take a look at them and compare them. There are, in your current charter, there are some provisions that are fairly archaic. They're workable, but they're archaic, they're not the way that things are really done anymore. And so some of it may just be as simple as striking those out, but there are some things that need to be added in. And I think that's why a lot of cities, they just take the tack of starting with the GMA model, and then if there are things in your charter that you like, then insert it. The other thing that is that we will have for you all, that we can go ahead and do in terms of home rule, we talked about, is the change in the two-week requirement, whereby there are some things that are fairly routine that you all have some frustration with having to wait a whole month to do something, or have to have special call meetings. The way that one city that I represent solved this problem is that the two-week requirement remains in the charter. However, for things that are non-controversial, when everybody's present and everybody agrees, you can adopt it with one reading on the same night. Which, that's a change for you all, but frankly, that's how most counties and a lot of cities may operate. Because you have work sessions, and so it's well known with y'all what's going on, so it's not, and it's not wholly inconsistent with your charter. Now, you could do something within a week if you wanted, but this is just, it streamlines the process for things that are less controversial. So that'll also, that is an amendment that you all can do. I'll have that brought to you on Tuesday.
With this modification that we're making decisions on shortly, about the hiring process and that type of thing. As far as getting the approval of the council as quickly as reasonably possible, how do you envision that? Let's say we're hiring a police officer and we want to have approval on those types of things. Then once we've interviewed the person, then, the council has, would be either approving or disapproving. Is that correct?
Generally, what happens, even with cities that move in that direction, the council is not necessarily involved with the hiring at the employee level. You're involved in it at the director level.
In this city, there's a reason why we would be concerned about police officers as far as terminating.
That's different. In police are a little bit different than others anyway, because of the post-certification and the fact that, Chief's been through, you all go through newly elected official training, Chief goes through Chief Law Enforcement Officer training, and so some of those decisions, in order to protect the city liability, they have to be vested in a chief of police.
But as far as terminating, let's say, in an imaginary situation, an elected official comes in and has the authority to terminate a police officer. And that person has their own personal agenda, and they want to.
Well, if I can interrupt you for just a second, that is what this would prevent in the future.
That, I know.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is, do we want to have the council reviewing terminations of officers or not?
No, I think what he said.
We were talking about his
department
department.
heads.
Okay, you need to rethink that. If you, right now, somebody can come in who has the authority to terminate officers, they can terminate them and not rehire them, and all of a sudden we've got no police department.
I'm not following you.
We'll discuss it further. But,
Those kinds of things can be addressed with county change.
Right. I mean, we've talked like, I was looking at it in a matter of, we said it with hiring of the department heads and that type. And then, if, you know, or the chief, you know what I'm saying. And then we do give the chief the option to hire his people. We wouldn't really, council really wouldn't say it on every.
we can talk about
Right,
that.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. But the intention is to drop that one clause, is that right? The number.
What is the 301C clause?
It reads, it's in our charter, and it reads, I'll read it for you. It says, it's in the charter. It describes the mayor's duties, responsibilities, so on and so forth. It says, the office of the mayor shall not be abolished, nor shall his powers as provided in this act be reduced. So we can't, we originally talked about using the home rule amendment and just doing an amendment to the charter, like sometimes we can do, but because this is in there,
You can't change.
it stops us right there from doing anything. So now we have to do a smaller change in the legislature to allow us to make a change to actually change the whole charter. And I anticipate this will be more special call meetings. It'll be more, a little more activity among the council and mayor and clerk, but that's okay. I mean, this will help our growth. This will help bolster the confidence of our citizens that we're being equal, we're being fair, and we're being, that it's not, a hierarchy style of government. It's a,
Honestly, if we eliminate, if we do away with 301C, one of the stipulations is that the mayor's position will not be eliminated. Is that a possibility?
You wouldn't be able to do, even if we take this out, you still can't do that
Good.
without going to the legislature.
Right.
No, thank you.
That's a change in the form of government,
Okay.
and that can't be done except by the legislature.
Very good, thank you.
so actually, it's the second half
Yes,
of 301C that we just removed.
yeah, the first clause of 301Cs were done in the state law.
Right, sure.
And when's the earliest that we can vote on it?
You can do, we'll take the necessary steps to begin that process on Tuesday night, because it has to be done by the legislature. It's not really an ordinance. You all pass a resolution saying you want to do this. There has to be some ads run, and then I write a letter to my local delegation and ask them to present it.
Now, you said all those have to be present too.
That's different.
Okay.
That's two different things.
Okay,
That's two different things.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, item number 6, recording database for police. Chief?
John just came and got him, so they had to go out, I guess.
He was looking into getting a new database. I didn't get paperwork until tonight, so.
How much do you know about it, Mike?
Yeah, I'm trying to get paper I made a copy of. He's proposing a new database for the GCIC, which right now is charging by per user. And this new one is going to be like flat rate. And he will be paying for 5 users, 4 police officers in Tracy. And the amount will be about equal or less than what we have been paying.
Are we under contract now with someone with what we got in order now?
No, no. But this new one, there will have to be a contract
Right.
for a 5-year. Well, there's a lot of options, so I don't know how many years he's going to pick.
Can I suggest that we do item 7 and perhaps the chief will be back after that.
Yeah, probably better.
And then is this a critical thing that needs to be voted on by Tuesday night? By,
He would like it to be voted on,
Okay.
yes.
How much is it?
Well, the quote that he gave me, this is for the taser. It's,
Can we leave that till after we do item 7,
yeah,
and then the chief might be able to answer your question?
that'd be-
yeah. Okay, Statham Business Association, Wayne Castle is here to talk about backflow for Denver, guys.
I've had several conversations with Jordan since I put myself on the agenda about this, so a lot of the questions have been answered. I don't know how much y'all know about it. I've talked to several people around, had other business owners about the backflow preventer valves that we're gonna have to put on the water meters and possibly sprinkler system. And, you know, the letter that we got was, I think I got mine the day before Thanksgiving, and supposed to have started inspection as of today, but Gordon said he hadn't heard back, he hadn't know exactly when it's gonna start. But there were just concerns about the timing of it, you know, with other business owners that I've talked to, you know, about whether, you know, cutting the water off every 40 hours, if it's not up to code. And after talking to Jordan, he said that, you know, if we're working on it, we should be, you know, we'll have a little more time there. Because we're looking at, could run into thousands of dollars for, you know, I've got 4 water meters that we're gonna do. Some, talking to some other people, I got a little bit of an issue with, we have to go pull permits and pay a $50 fee for a permit to go and put a backflow preventer valve on something that's got, you know, that the city's required us to do. So hoping we could maybe get around some of that. If y'all are open to discussing that. You know, the quotes for doing this are all over the place, from $300 or $400 per meter to, you know, $2,000 a meter, depending on what size line we have coming in. I later found out that some of ours already have preventer valves on them, that they just have to be updated with some.
Cross.
Well, it's a top check or something, you know, whatever they do with it. And then we also have several sprinkler systems that's going to be thousands of dollars, $10,000 to $20,000 for us to get that up to code. You know, Jordan's thinking that if we turn it off, it shouldn't be an issue. You know, we shouldn't put it on there. But, you know, there's something that they come in and say, you gotta have this on, you know, leave it all the time.
Jordan, can we do a kind of a survey on to see what each one takes necessary to take? It'd be bigger than, it'd be about like an inch and a half with it, most sprinkler systems.
No, all the mains going in and sprinkler system's gonna be 6 inch.
Ours is, the one coming into my building's an 8 inch.
Okay.
And I don't know, I know these other two, that they've got sprinkler systems, and I know that they're off. I've already had a company come out and look at it, he's working on quotes for the sprinkler system. And I know one of the other issues, I don't know if if the city has a cutoff on that system coming into our building there, out on the street. And I've got a valve inside the building, but there's nothing on the street. And if we have to, depending on what's the name of the company that you have coming in?
No, Bureau Veritas is code enforcement.
Huh?
Bureau Veritas is code enforcement.
Okay.
That's who's gonna be checking it.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't, you know, Jordan was unsure about whether we could do it inside or outside on the sprinkler system. But if we have to do it outside, it involves bringing in a crane, putting in a cement vault $20,000.
Let's, Jordan, can you check on it a little more, give us a little more detail?
Yes, maybe
Can I ask
next
a
week.
quick question? Was this geared more towards restaurants or every business? Or is it an effort to stop trash from getting in our water supply? Or is that what the backflow preventer does? Or
Yes,
it stops contamination
Correct.
from our water supply.
correct.
From a business or any
Well, it's not
check
just check
valve. I guess you could say it's a check valve.
It's more complex than a check valve, but yes.
Okay, I got
It
it.
prevents water from coming, if there's a loss of pressure, water will.
It's got a meter on it. The show.
Does our, excuse me,
No.
does our residentials have, don't they have them in a
Newer
manner?
ones do, and older places don't.
Okay.
don't.
I mean, I know when I was in Wyoming, I had a business and, it was in place when I took the place and I had to do the
Yeah,
inspection every
any
year.
new construction is required. to
Right,
do construction,
exactly.
but- Right, it did old construction. I doubt there are very few houses in the state of downtown area that have.
Right, I would agree.
I was surprised that some of these buildings had it on there. They obviously had to be updated, but, the sprinkler system is the main concern.
Right. The challenge is that, if you have, 6 or 8 inch pipe and, ends up running through the building to do the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Stuff can either grow in there.
Oh, I
backslide
understand
rust.
I understand why.
Yeah.
That makes perfect.
But what you want is,
I probably got a mile.
but what you
pipe
need is
in
some
the building.
flexibility as far as.
Yeah, we're gonna need some flexibility, and I don't know if we have to go in and do it on the sprinkler system, that's gonna be there's no cutoff on the city side outside, I've seen when they came down and redid the storm drains down there, that pipe was dug up, it runs through one of the storm drains, as far as I know, there's no valve outside, so to actually put that in, you're talking about a job of a couple days.
Well, like yours was installed years ago when it was manufactured, which
Yeah.
was required,
Yeah.
and backflow wasn't probably
No.
in existence at that time, or at least not concerned.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's why they're,
yeah,
because there were
but,
200 people sitting in there side by side on a sewing machine.
yeah, oh, yeah.
And it was a sprinkler system.
And I assume, talking with Drew, I assume that somewhere, probably in the near future, the county, fire department's gonna require that thing is on anyway, at some point, that's coming, at some point, I'm gonna have to spend money. But,
So realistically, you look for some time.
yeah, and I think it's
How much
gonna
time are you
be,
thinking?
if it's a year or 2 years, something like, but, and we need to know a little bit more about what it's gonna involve too, because if I had to go and do it, I don't know how long it's gonna, if we have to do it outside, or if we have to take that road, we're gonna cut the water off, there's no way to cut it off before it comes into my building. So, Jordan would probably know this.
That's true, I won't get whoever's gonna be enforcing that, to come down there and look at it, we can see what the best place is gonna be. I would be fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
That's a
have-
possibility.
And if I can just turn it off for now, and put it off as long as possible, that's fine too. But I know that something is gonna have to be done, so if we have some kind of plan in place to be able to deal with it.
As far as, when our Veritas company comes, can, maybe you and I and anybody else that wants to go down and take a look so that we can make a more reasonable decision and be as fair as reasonably possible. I understand that, the desire for the 1 to 2 years, but I'm a bit concerned about that.
Yeah. Well, it's,
But at the same time, if there's a true need, maybe we should all go down and take a look before the Tuesday meeting.
And I know there's some other buildings, you know, London gonna be in kind of the same boat.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking, it's not just yours. I mean, we can, if we walk down Railroad Street and take a look at each of them and make determinations.
Yeah,